Hey guys, it's Leo Stargazer. I'm here today with our all signs, sign specific astrological tarot readings. This is for the week of September 24th through September 30th. And this week is all about the full moon in Aries, and Mercury leaves its shadow right after that full moon. So if you have been listening and following along, you know that I have been talking a lot about preparing for forward momentum, a lot about incorporating balance. Well, all of these themes this week come to fruition. They come to a point of no return. This week, the completion of several of our journeys occurs, and we start to really earnestly, actively move forward. But with that, we don't want to move too fast too quick. We don't want to move too far too fast. We really want to use Libra's balancing, all of that balance I was trying to bring in for us over the last couple weeks. That balance is brought to us by Libra. We are in Libra season and we need that. Aries, this full moon in Aries is going to need balance. Our forward directionality is going to need balance or we're going to burn out quick. So this week, I want these readings to guide us in that forward direction. But I want them to provide a little bit of clarity about balance, basically combining all of the themes we've been discussing over the last couple weeks, all into this moment where we have no choice but to keep moving forward. It's a time of transition, and that transition is towards the future. So I'm excited. So in honor of all of this, I'm going to be doing a 3-card spread. I'll be doing a thinking, feeling, and doing spread for each sign, starting with Aries and ending with Pisces. So let's go ahead and get started. I am having some lavender black tea today. Let me take a sip of that. Yum, yum. Ready to bring that forward momentum in, ready to bring that energy, some of that drive, but with a little bit of lavender balance, because that's what this is all about. So here we go. Let's get started. All right, so our first sign is Aries, and let's begin our shuffle. So this week, the full moon takes place in your sign, in Aries. So this really is all about you this week. It's a lot about you this week. It's a lot about all of your essence being used to move everyone forward with you. So as we start with our thinking, feeling, and doing spread, I really want us to really be engaging as much as we can with all themes Aries. We want to focus on forward directionality. We want to focus on drive, passion, all things that are you really, really need to guide us. So let's get our first card out. The first card that I draw in the position of thinking is the 2 of Pentacles reversed. What are we feeling? The Hanged Man. Doing. The Page of Pentacles. Okay. All right, guys. So, thinking, feeling, doing. 2 Pentacles. The Hanged Man, Major Arcana, right in the middle. What does this mean for you? So, as the moon blooms and becomes full, on your mind is the 2 of Pentacles. What the 2 of Pentacles shows me in thinking is that your mind is on balance, which is great, but it's because balance isn't your strong suit. It's Libra's strong suit. But it's Libra season, and you want to tap into that. But you're having a hard time because you can't stop thinking that you need balance but can't find it. That's rational. It's natural. It makes sense. Especially for you. Your energy to move forward, this whole experience of the necessity to keep moving on is what we all need to tap into today. We need that. You have it. But the thing you don't have is balance. And the lack of balance is on your mind. However, the way you're feeling about it is the Hanged Man. So while you may be thinking about balance, you want the mental side of everything to be in balance. The Hanged Man shows me that your independence, your identity, again, everything that we all need you for this week in particular, is as strong as it could be, that your emotional energy is fully engaged with your essence. That while you are smart enough to know, you've learned enough from Virgo to know that what you are lacking is balance, what you need is balance. The Hanged Man in feeling says that you're still emotionally aware enough to know that your independent spirit is what we all need right now. It's what you need more than you need balance, but balance is still essential. So what are you doing about it? Well, what you're doing about it is represented by the Page of Pentacles. And what that is you are ready to dive into and utilize the lessons you learned from this past season. I've been talking a lot about learning the lessons and using it, but this spread is showing me that you are not only ready to do that, but you are going to actively do that this week. So the Page of Pentacles says, okay, great. It says you're going to dive in to studying, to reminding yourself, to finding, probably before the full moon, to finding the lessons you need to latch onto to give you the balance you need, without losing your drive and your focus and your energy and your independent spirit. That's essential. You feel it in your core. But you can't get your mind off of balance. And that's okay. You need both. And the Page of Pentacles shows me that this week, your need to find the intersection between your independent spirit and the need for balance this season. This week, though. So, dive into that. Be scholarly about that. Really tap into and really focus on only the lessons you've learned from Virgo, from Mercury. Because once Mercury leaves its shadow, we are all exclusively in that forward momentum. You're naturally inclined to it, and you've been wanting to do that this whole time. Well, now that Mercury's out of its shadow, we really are just in the free zone. The forward directional zone, your zone, that's what we're in. So take some time this week before the full moon to really, really dive into and unpack the lessons you learned from Mercury's retrograde. Dive in and unpack the lessons that you need to know from Virgo season, because that's over. We're in Libra season. Mercury's out of its shadow. It's a full moon in your sign. We are ready to move forward. We don't have a choice. Everyone's moving forward, and we need to follow you. So don't lose your independent spirit, but find out what you learned about balance and then incorporate it. So that after the full moon, you are a fully balanced and fully capable and fully independent and fully forwardly mobile Aries, because that's what we're all going to need. This full moon is a really great time to reap your rewards, the rewards you earned, but use those to bring balance. I think we'll be good to go. Great job, Aries. I will see you next week. Okay, so now we will move on to Taurus. And as I begin my shuffle, let's talk a little bit about what this week has in store for you. So obviously we have the full moon in Aries, and then Mercury leaves its post-retrograde shadow, so in Virgo. So with Mercury going forward in Virgo, We've been ready for that for a while. We are good to go. With this full moon in Aries, I think this is going to be for you, and hopefully the tarot can help us see more about this. But I think for you, it's going to be a lot about diving a little deeper into some of the lessons, bringing those things to fruition that were really enlightening for you. Hopefully the tarot kind of helps us understand that. But regardless, let's just do thinking, feeling, doing. Let's see how you're going to be thinking, feeling, doing this week and what you need to hear. So in thinking, the card that I draw is the 3 of Pentacles. Feeling, the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Okay. What are you doing this week? The Devil reversed. Okay. Well, the color palette is so interesting how it feels balanced. Remember, this week is also a lot about reminding ourselves of balance. Well, this is a beautiful spread for that. Okay, so thinking, Taurus, what are you thinking? 3 of Pentacles. You are thinking about collaboration. Maybe what you learned during Mercury's retrograde, during Virgo season, what you know now about your directionality on your mind, so the mental, the intellectual part, your brain, your mind is on collaboration. And it's not just collaboration, it's bringing your best self to that collaboration. Presumably, your new and fresh self that has come out of this season and into the next one. Also, again, this card is really good for balance. It shows that in your mind, you understand that not only is what you bring to the table super important, incredibly valuable, but the people you interact with, potentially work with, the ones you collaborate with, certainly, those people are also bringing everything about them to the table. They're bringing their best selves to the table as well. And so when all of you bring your best skill sets in, you're able to create something really beautiful. So whether that journey is just starting for you, whether you're in full swing of it, or whether it's coming to fruition this week, either way, you know intellectually that not only are you bringing your best self, but the ones who you need to rely on will also bring their best self this week in particular. So if you aren't getting started on something, but you were thinking about it, definitely do that. As if it was a collaboration in particular, definitely lean into that this week for sure. Either way though, because this is the end of the month, because we just started Libra season, because Mercury will be out of its post-retrograde shadow, all of this stuff happening means that regardless of if you started it or not, this is happening now. It's going to start probably this week, definitely after that full moon. So be excited about that. If you don't have that in your life right now, find something to collaborate on. Find someone to do it with. Because those people are going to be bringing what you're bringing. That's what you're thinking about, though. What are you feeling? In feeling, we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Your emotions are having a hard time accepting this seasonal shift. This seasonal shift may be making you really emotional. This seasonal shift may be requiring an expectation from you that is hard to reach. And I think it may be exactly what's on your mind. In your mind, you know you need to start a project that you're working on. You need to show up to the group in a different kind of way. But your feelings, your gut, your emotion, your intuition is not prepared to do that. Your intuition, your emotions are kind of maybe telling you pretty clearly, it is a major arcana card, that just going with the flow is challenging. So what are you going to do about that? Well, what you're going to do this week is the devil reversed. What that means, it's not as crazy as it seems. What it means is that you're going to be focused on self-liberation. You're going to be focused on liberating your groups. You're going to be focused on liberating your intuitive flow so that it is allowed to flow. It is allowed to move forward, not be stuck in this rut, to actually let the wheel turn and move along with it. The devil reverse is showing me that you're ready to be free. Virgo season may have been trapping you. Virgo season, Mercury retrograde may have been challenging for you in particular. But because you know what you need to do, and you know you need to get over this idea that you can't move forward, what you need to do is you just need to free yourself. Use the fact that you already know through the Three of Pentacles upright in thinking that you're ready to collaborate. You are ready to bring your best self to the table. You need to, because that's going to free you, and it's going to help you accept the changes of time. It's going to help you accept the seasonal shift. And it's going to help you find the groups and the people, if you don't already have them, who are going to be able to create with you in a super collaborative, compatible way. And you'll be able to free yourself and them and create something super beautiful this next season. All of that starts this week, though. That full moon brings a sense of completion. Mercury will be complete in its retrograde cycle. We have no choice but to move forward. So bring your best self to us. We need you. Thank you so much, Taurus. Hope you have an amazing, amazing week. You rock. See you next time. Okay, now we're moving on to Gemini. And as I start my shuffle, let's talk, Gemini, about what this week is looking like for you. So like I said, we are focusing on that full moon. We are focusing on Mercury leaving its shadow. We are full forward momentum, fully engaged in all this stuff. And I think for you, this full moon in Aries in particular is a moment for you to reconnect with your groups. Reconnect with the groups that you maybe weren't able to during Mercury's retrograde or in Virgo. The groups that you maybe had to push aside for a little bit. Maybe the groups that you've discovered during that time. Regardless, we don't have a choice. We're all moving forward. So this week in particular, let's see what we're thinking, feeling, and doing about it as we head to this full moon. So what are you thinking about, Gemini? You're thinking about the Eight of Pentacles. Okay. What are you feeling this week? Where are your emotions at? The Ten of Wands reversed. Okay. What are we doing this week? Knight of Wands. Okay. All right, Gemini. So, you were thinking about work this week. You are. If you aren't, or if you don't plan to, you should make a plan to. Because the Eight of Pentacles is showing up in thinking, regardless of if you want to or not, your mind is going to be on work. It doesn't need to be on work that you, like on your job. It doesn't need to be on your, it probably will be, but it doesn't have to be. It can be on a creative thing you're working on outside. It can be on focusing intently on a hobby. It can be on those things for sure. Regardless though, you're focusing on the process of work. So while this moment, this week in particular, is about one phase completing and another beginning, and the idea of this point of no return, the lessons we've learned are ours to use or not. What you're focused on, at least mentally, in your mind, is the process of how you're going to get to the next stage. Potentially the work of the group, how you function in a group on the day-to-day. Maybe it's not about that at all. Maybe it really is just that you've got a task ahead of you and you are going to be focusing on it. That's what I see. It could be that simple. It probably is. Because in feeling, you have the 10 of Wands reversed. 10 of Wands reversed in feeling is saying that your intuition, your emotional intelligence is telling you that you're overburdened. And you're probably overburdened because you're overthinking work. You're going to be thinking about that, but it's potentially going to be overwhelming if you let it be. The thing is, though, is that the 10 is reversed. So to me, it shows that you are ready to cast off those burdens. You need to cast off those burdens. With the 10 of Wands reversed, I always come to two things, though. Either you're going to cast those burdens in front of you, where you'll have to deal with them again later, or you're going to cast them behind you, where you'll never have to think of them again. I want you this week to cast them behind you. Let go of the burdens. Release them no matter what you do. Release them by the full moon. If you feel overburdened, pinpoint exactly what that is and let it go. But throw it behind you. Leave that in Virgo season. Leave that in Mercury's retrograde season. Leave all of that, because at the end of this week, we will be at the end of September. Libra season's already beginning, and Mercury will be out of its shadow. So the only choice we have is to move forward. You need to clear the path in front of you by releasing your burdens behind you. The way I think you're going to do that is by thinking about the parts of your labor that are getting in the way. But what you're going to do, even if you do that or don't, what you are doing is the Knight of Wands. Meaning, regardless of what you're thinking about or what you're feeling, you are going to move forward. You're going to move towards a new adventure. You're going to move forward with fire, with energy, with passion, with drive. This card makes me think of Aries so much. And so having this show up for you in full moon, when a full moon is going to be in Aries, it shows me that Gemini vibes are ready to move forward. You are ready to take everything you are and blaze a trail in front of you. That's what the Knight of Wands says you're going to do. You may be thinking about work. You may be pondering how you can throw off your burdens, how you can cast them off, how you cannot be overworked or overburdened. But regardless of any of that, you are doing the exact thing that this week is calling for. By the Knight of Wands showing up and doing, you are moving forward with a fire and a passion and a drive that we all can only hope to get. So congratulations. Use it to its fullest. Cast the burdens behind you. And don't overwork or overthink about it. I'm excited for you. Knight of Wands energy, Gemini. I'll see you next week. Okay, and now we will move on to Cancer. All right, guys. So, Cancer. This full moon in Aries. Oh, hello, King of Wands. Interesting. This full moon in Aries it's going to be intense. It's going to be a lot of fire energy. So I'm thinking for us, it's going to be really important for us to think of this idea of that full moon being a completion moment, and then you moving forward and really, really focusing on that. Of course, balance is going to be key. You're going to balance it out with your water energy. Hopefully the spread can guide us. So let's get started. Thinking, feeling, doing. Thinking. What are you thinking about this week? The Four of Wands reversed. Okay. Interesting thoughts. What are we feeling? This is very important for you. The Four of Swords. Yup, makes sense. What are you doing this week? The Eight of Pentacles reversed. Okay. You are thinking Four of Wands reversed. You are feeling Four of Swords. And you are doing Eight of Pentacles reversed. Wow. Okay. So, Four of Wands reversed in thinking. The Four of Wands reversed actually isn't as challenging as maybe it seems. It's a gorgeous card in reverse, but all of its essence is still there. That's how I like to think about it. It's really important for me to get that out right from the beginning. It may be reversed, but all of the essence of the Four of Wands is there. And what is its essence? Its essence is celebration. Its essence is almost like a coming out kind of feeling, a festival kind of feeling. All the things that they're shown in the image. But most of all, it means a uniting with community, a coming out from a time of difficulty, and a celebratory mode. Which, with this full moon in Aries, I really want us to have that. With this seasonal change we had last week, with Mercury leaving its shadow, I want this week, I'm hoping, and I see this week as a turning point and a moment of celebration. And that celebration is about what we've learned. In reverse, though, it shows me that in your mind, on your mind, in your thoughts, you're not quite convinced that what's on the other side, what's in the other season, is the celebration either you think you deserve, and you probably do deserve exactly what you think, or it won't, or maybe you're worried that it won't happen at all. But the Four of Wands showing up at all is showing me that that is present in your week with this full moon. This celebration is possible. So I love to see it. You just have to trust it, because right now you don't believe it, and you need to believe it, but we'll get to that. In feeling, you got the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords for you, Cancer, in feeling makes a ton of sense. You are in your sanctuary. You are in your emotional sanctuary. You are protected and safe, comfortable and calm. All the things we are when we feel safe. In feeling, I think, and upright, I think it's showing that that's okay. I think this week, maybe you're contemplating how to bring about this celebration, how to upright the Four of Wands. You're contemplating that in your safe space this week. I also think it's showing up and feeling is saying, do that either way. Go inside if you're not going inside of yourself, of your heart. Dive inside of your heart this week. Not a deep dive, a comfortable dive. Like, don't dive off the deep end and the highest, diving board you can find. Stay in your sanctuary. Don't be afraid or don't feel compelled to leave your sanctuary this week. You don't have to. You will leave it after the full moon because the Four of Wands is here. To get the Four upright, though, don't be afraid to stay in your sanctuary this week. It's all good. Especially because in doing, we have the Eight of Pentacles reversed. The Eight of Pentacles reversed is showing me that you may be too focused on what's coming after this week. You may be too focused on what October is bringing for you. It's bringing a lot for everyone, but you may be worried about that. You may be worried about, again, you're probably overthinking this Four of Wands reverse moment. You're probably so worried that you're not going to be able to use the lessons that you learned from Mercury's retrograde, or that you're just kind of afraid to move on from this last season. You're afraid of what's after that full moon. Maybe it's just that, like, full moons are intense for us. They're intense for you anytime there's a full moon. It's a very emotional experience. So it could be that you're kind of focusing maybe just on that completion moment, just on that full moon moment, and not on what's in between now and then. The full moon is towards the end of the week. It's on Friday. So you need to stay in your sanctuary for most of this week, contemplate last season, use the Four of Swords to validate that. When you do that, though, you'll know when you can step out of that sanctuary and into the place of the Four of Wands to that celebration. But you have to do, and you will do, based on the Eight of Pentacles reversed, you will do the mental work it's going to take and the emotional work it's going to take to get the Four of Wands upright, to leave the sanctuary, to enter the celebration, to walk hand in hand with you, with yourself, and with others into this next season, into the new month that starts next week, and into a phase that has nothing to do with Mercury retrograde except what we learned. But above all, don't focus on what's ending. Focus on what's starting, and then dive into the effort, the energy, the emotional task of working towards a new goal. And then you'll be good to go. You'll be good to enter the new season. You'll be good to have that celebration. You know your sanctuary is always there and you can enter it whenever you want, but don't focus too much on the future. Focus on the now. And if you have to stay in your sanctuary for now, nothing's wrong with that. You have a really good one. I will see you next week. Okay, and now we will move on to Leo. And as I shuffle, let's talk a little bit about what this full moon in Aries is going to be for you and what I hope the tarot will show us. So this full moon in a fire sign is going to be very energizing for you. We are really focused on the journey right now. All of us, but especially us, Leo. We are really focused on the journey right now. I want this full moon to really be a moment where we really lean into that. And use this as the one part of the journey coming to an end and another part beginning. And I really want to focus on that. So let's have the tarot help guide us there with thinking, feeling, doing. I want to know what we're going to be thinking, how we're feeling, and what we're going to be doing this week. So let's go. First card in thinking. What are we thinking, Leo? King of Pentacles. Those are great thoughts to have. I love those thoughts, and I want them. Feeling. What are we feeling? The Magician. Great feelings. Wow, just look at the similarity with the yellow backgrounds. It's just fabulous. So much nature in there. Love these. Okay, well, that's what we're thinking and feeling. What are we going to be doing? Let's see. King of Swords reversed. Okay. Well, let's just start from thinking. In thinking, I got the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles in thinking shows me that as this full moon blooms in Aries, as Mercury leaves its shadow, pretty much officially ending these review processes that we've been going through in Virgo. As that happens, we are confident. We are empowered. We are balanced, which again, remember, this is Libra season. We are in Libra season now. It's just begun. Balance is key to this forward momentum. It's key to help balance with this full moon in Aries. It's going to be very fiery and emotional, especially for us. So King of Pentacles is showing me that with all of that stuff happening, all of these, beginnings and endings and things coming to fruition and all of this, we are thriving in our garden. We are thriving on our throne. If you don't feel that and that sounds just totally wild to you and whatever, find something in your life this week that you feel that with. Find that place that you feel like you have got it down. People rely on you. You can keep balanced, your heart and mind and all of that stuff. That is showing in the King of Pentacles. It's there. It's on your mind, at least. There's something in the way you're thinking this week that's really confidence-inducing. If you don't feel confident this week, look at the King of Pentacles. Look him in the eyes. Pull him up. If you have a deck, pull him out of that deck. Put him on your altar. Do whatever you need to do to have the King of Pentacles as your guide this week, because him on our mind is gorgeous, and I love it so much. What we're feeling is almost even more gorgeous, and it's the Magician. Super Aries vibes for me. Super creative, and I mean literally creative. Like, we are manifesting things with this full moon. We are channeling lessons learned in Virgo into gorgeous products, gorgeous thoughts and gorgeous feelings in particular, I guess. We're balancing all the suits. There are tools. I mean, really, guys, getting the Magician and feeling after getting the King of Pentacles and thinking is magnificent. I mean, it's so exciting, especially at a moment when we are ready to move forward, when we are ready to lead, we're ready to roar, we're ready to do all this stuff. We've been so cooped up in Virgo season. This Mercury retrograde is done as of this week. I could not be more thrilled. With all of that stuff, what on earth are we going to do with it? What are we doing this week? Well, reality check. The King of Swords reversed showed up in doing. And the King of Swords reversed in doing could show that we are going to have a balance of cold intellectual energy. We are going to use intense stoicism, potentially from Virgo, potentially earned from Mercury's retrograde. We're going to use that to balance out these kind of super vibrant, exciting, manifesting moments in our thoughts and feelings. Hopefully that's what it is. Lean into it if it is. What I'm seeing, if I'm honest, is that we aren't going to be able to tap in to, or we're going to be hesitant to tap into our thoughts and feelings. We're going to be reticent to believe that we are the King of Pentacles and the Magician in our hearts and minds. We're going to let that get in the way of our authority. We're going to let that get in the way of our progress. We're going to let that make us cold. We're going to let that mute out all of this beautiful fire energy coming to us from this Aries full moon. We have the potential that, based on King of Swords reverse showing up and doing, that what we're doing this week is going to get in the way of our thoughts and minds. Maybe it's something we have to do. We don't have a choice. Even if it is, what this card means for you is that you have to, if there's a moment you're feeling cold, if there's a moment you're feeling doubtful about your own authority, about your intellectual and emotional competence, if there are doubts, if there's ever a moment this week where you don't feel a fire within you, look at the King of Pentacles. Pull out the Magician too and put him right next to the King of Pentacles. Even just do that in your mind. Use those cards as mantras. I am the King of Pentacles. I am the Magician. Use that to make sure that the King of Swords doesn't mute your fire energy. Do that so where the King of Swords actually is just a balance for you. The King of Swords reversed in doing, like I said at first, it could be that it's just a balance. A balance to this intense full moon in this fire sign in Aries. A balance to our desire and need and ability to channel all of these lessons into this stuff right away. The balance that Libra is calling for, the balance that Libra season calls for, that's what the King of Swords could be, even reversed. But if he becomes the bad version, if he becomes the cold version, if you are becoming that this week, look to the King of Pentacles, look to the Magician. You are powerful. You can manifest. Affirm that to yourself this week. I definitely will. You're gonna have an amazing week, Leo. I'm super excited. I will see you next time. All right, Virgo. Now we move on to Virgo. Okay, so let me begin my shuffle and let's talk just a little bit really quickly about this week for you. So we have this full moon in Aries. Mercury leaves its shadow and starts moving through a part of Virgo it has not gotten to yet. So this is really exciting. This is a new era for Virgo. It's also a transition. It's a moment of transition from your sign into a new era. Libra season began last week. We will be through with Mercury's retrograde this week. So there's this moment where everything we needed to get from Virgo, other signs have received. Your sign has given them the gift of knowledge and the gift of, well, the gifts they needed to hear. For you, it is a moment of transition. We are transitioning into a season about balance. We are transitioning into a season about using everything that we learned in your sign, everything you learned in your sign too, about yourself, and moving forward with that. So, with all that in mind, without getting too much into it, I want the tarot to speak instead of me. So let's let it. Thinking, feeling, and doing. I want to know at this stage, at this week of transition, at this week of, honestly, there's some fire energy this week that I wonder if you'll be excited about it or not. We'll see. Thinking, feeling, doing. Let's go, Virgo. Thinking. Temperance reversed. Yeah. Okay. Feeling. What are you feeling? The King of Wands. Okay. So what are you doing this week? What is on the agenda? For you, it's the Four of Cups reversed. Okay. So for you, Virgo, in this moment of transition, in a week where we have a full moon in a fire sign, what's on your mind is temperance reversed. Extremes are on your mind this week. You are going to be, your thoughts at least, are going to be bouncing around to various extremes, which is not the place that you feel the best. So we want to try to get temperance upright. She's, way more Virgo than she is reversed. But like I said, it's a full moon in a fire sign. Maybe, and it's an Aries. So maybe it's time, because in your emotions, your thoughts may be on extremes. Your emotions are on fire. Your emotions are on passion, but not just unbridled, directionless, passionate fire. Your emotions are authoritative. Your emotions are creative. Your emotions are definitely eager to move beyond the realm that they're in right now. And that's probably because of these extreme thoughts you're going to be having this week. Regardless, though, even with that fire, even with that full moon in Aries, you are going to be feeling comfortable, which surprises me. I'm wondering if these kind of extreme thoughts are helping you. I think what you learned from your season was that not everything stays the same. Not everything has to be balanced all the time. But you still understand the importance of balance. You understand the importance of temperance upright, but you also know that in order for her to stay upright but also stay empowered, not just to be bland and basic, but to be empowered, you know that it takes a little fire. You know that it takes some extreme thinking sometimes. You definitely learned that after this last month. So with those thoughts and with those feelings, what are you doing? Well, this week, it's the Four of Cups reversed. What it shows me is that not only are you going to be going there in your mind, not only are you going to be balanced on your throne, you're also going to have your eye to the future and to the future gifts in front of you. You're going to have your eye on not just what's inside, not just on details and pragmatism and kind of the day-to-day rote experience of life. While that is a beautiful place and that is beautiful, and especially the lessons we've learned from you this season, incorporate all of that. Not this week. This week, and I think in particular on the day of the full moon, you are going to be, your eyes will be opened to, and you will be willing to accept the gifts of that moon. The fiery, passionate, drive-focused, forwardly focused gifts that Aries has to offer. You, Virgo, gave all the other signs beautiful gifts this season. Virgo was very generous. It was a challenge, but Virgo was generous. And we thank you. You coming out of your season are balanced and ready to go with your eyes open to receive all that you can. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful to you. I'm super excited about this week for you, especially this full moon. I wasn't before I saw these cards. I was maybe a little worried about this full moon in Aries for you. But after seeing these cards, this spread, it's so obvious to me that this is going to be a really powerful week for you. A really focused week for sure, but a really balanced week. But I'm even more excited about what's coming. I'm even more excited, based on the Four of Cups reversed, about what you are going to grasp. The intuitive messages you're going to latch onto, and use from this full moon. I can't wait to see what that is. You're amazing. And I'll see you next week. Hi, Libra. All right. I am so excited to get to this reading for you. We are moving on to Libra, and we have entered Libra season 2. So I'm super, super excited about this reading. I think that with this full moon in Aries, I think that we are going to need you more than ever, but I'm not sure what you're going to need. And so I really hope that, because you're probably going to have to be a fulcrum for everything, a balance point for everything, I really want to know what you're thinking, feeling, and doing. This week in particular, you deserve focus as well. So it's your season after all, so we are going to be focusing on you a lot. But this week we really, really need you. So let's see how you show up. What are we thinking about, Libra? The Six of Pentacles. So, like I thought, you are in need. Wow. What are you feeling? The Seven of Cups reversed. I get it. Doing. What are you doing? What are you doing this week? The Six of Cups. Okay, so, like I said, we need you, and guess what? You are giving it to us. You're giving us everything we need. You need to give yourself what you need, and I think it's in your feelings. I think it's going to be revealed in your feelings, and it definitely is revealed to us what you're going to be feeling is going to be for you. But let's start with thinking. In the thinking position, I got the Six of Pentacles. The image is an exact representation of what I was thinking. We are going to need you to give us the gift of balance. I said it at the beginning, but this week in particular, just at the beginning of Libra season, with that full moon in Aries, we need to balance out all the Aries energy that we also are really going to desperately need. We are moving forward no matter what. when we transitioned to Libra season last week, that was a critical point, a very important point. But this full moon in Aries says there's a sense of completion and the moving forward is happening now. We have to do it. So we need your balance. Well, you're going to give us the gift of balance. And what that means for you, you aren't just your sign. But what that means for you is that there are going to be people around you this week, Libra, that need your chill. The world desperately needs your chill. And you need to bring it. You need to give it fully and as freely as you can. This card, the Six of Pentacles, also could mean that you need to hold on to, that you need to responsibly give. Kind of stuff that you learned from Virgo about how you interact with balance. What you need to give responsibly. So don't give everything. Don't give all of yourself. But just provide, you're going to need to provide the people around you with this sense of easygoing flow. They're going to need it from you. Easygoing flow. That's what's going to need to keep them in balance and not get all super Aries fire and just run forward with this full moon and go crazy emotional and lose all of their minds. Like, if they're going to, and that's fine, and I hope some people totally dive in, and I hope you do too. But there are people around you based on the Six of Pentacles that says that they're going to need your mental, since it's in thinking, they're going to need your mental part. You're going to be aware mentally of the people around you who are in need of calm and balance. So please provide that without giving all of yourself, because in feeling, the Seven of Cups reversed, which shows me that every emotional choice you had in front of you, every intuitive message you maybe received from Mercury's retrograde or from Virgo, or maybe not, maybe just the intuitive messages you got as the sun entered Libra. Regardless, this week, tap into one part of that. Tap into one of those intuitive messages and lead the rest of your season with that message. Give what needs to be given. Keep what needs to be kept. And what needs to be kept are the intuitive messages you're receiving, but one needs to be utilized starting this week. Use the full moon to find the emotional guidance, the emotional directionality to pick one of these. You have to choose one, because maybe the others is what needs to be given. The one needs to be kept for you. And I think you're going to do that, because in doing, it's the Six of Cups, which is literally offering an actual cup. So you kept one for yourself, like I said, but you gave the rest to others, potentially to the future you. All of this that I'm talking about when I'm talking about giving to others, this could also just be another part of you. But regardless, give the gift of those other intuitive messages. Give the gift of the balance that you are the essence, that is your essence. Give that gift to others. Teach them. Or if others won't receive that, which is possible, if others won't receive that, hold on to one of those extra cups. Like I said, use the intuition. Use that one that you choose. Use that one bit of advice, that one piece of intuitive information that you have. Use that for the rest of Libra season. Don't let go of whatever one you land on. And use on the day of the full moon is the day you should probably land on that. Land on that, choose that one. But the others, set them aside. Set them aside for either you to use or set them aside as gifts. As gifts for others to utilize on what could be a difficult journey. Either way, You are needed this season. Your knowledge is needed. The gifts of your intuition are needed. But you also have needs, and your needs are going to be revealed and manifested if you choose to focus on one intuitive message this week, and then carry that with you through the rest of your season. I think we all owe you gratitude. I think we need your essence so bad right now, and it is your season. So thank you so much. You are awesome. But don't give everything you have. Hold on to it. We got a lot of your season left to go. You're amazing. Thanks, Libra. See you next time. Okay, so moving on to Scorpio. Okay, Scorpio, so while I shuffle, let's just quickly talk about this week for you. We have a full moon in a bright fire sign. Ready to be utilized, but requiring a lot of balance. And it's Libra season, so we're leaning into that, but you are potentially going to bring in some water energy that we also need. The other side of passion, I feel like Scorpio really brings that well when we have a lot of fire sign energies happening. So hopefully this tarot spread can tell us how you're going to do that, or if you even need to at all. So let's get started. Thinking, feeling, doing. That's what we're doing. That's the spread. Let's start with thinking. Here we go. The 10 of Pentacles. Okay. Thinking. Feeling. How are you feeling, Scorpio? The 4 of Cups. Okay. What are we doing? What are you going to do this week? Death. Okay. So, super interesting spread. A lot of varying themes here. I wonder if part of that is this idea that for you, like I was saying, kind of that there's a sense of balance. I think it's maybe more complicated than I was initially thinking, and I think that's pretty clear based on these cards. So let's start with the 10 of Pentacles in thinking. The 10 of Pentacles in thinking for you is showing me that as we approach this moment where we are transitioning, where we are moving forward, moving on from Virgo season, moving on from Mercury retrograde, moving into Libra season, using Aries energy to fire ourselves forward, I think that you are feeling safe and content. Well, no, you're thinking about safety and contentment. You are feeling that too, but in a different way. But because the 10 of Pentacles is in thinking, it's showing me that while you are thinking about being safe, thinking about being content, you're also thinking about taking a risk. You're thinking about the necessity of taking a risk. Maybe it's just the concept of risk taking. Maybe because we just got out of Virgo season and you probably felt a little held back by that. You probably felt like you were maybe sacrificing something that didn't encourage a bunch of forward momentum, and that's okay. You definitely weren't alone. But right now, this week, as that full moon happens, the full moon may bring about thoughts of risk-taking. Or at least, like I said, the necessity of taking a risk or not taking a risk. One or the other. Either way, though, I think the risk, whether you take a risk or not, or whether you decide that risk-taking is appropriate right now, I think that you're mainly focused on whether or not that risk can bring you further safety, further contentment. So that's good. It's complicated though, and I feel like the Ten of Pentacles is always complicated. I feel like even though it is really awesome to get a 10, especially the Ten of Pentacles on a full moon week, because I feel like there is this sense of completion that comes with that. So I think you're thinking about all of these themes, but I think you'll decide whether or not you want to take a risk on whatever that is. You'll know better than I do. I think you'll decide that this week. I think the full moon will be very clarifying. That's what you're thinking though. What are you feeling? What is your gut telling you? What is your intuition telling you? Well, you're feeling focused. You're feeling almost in, I don't want to say in a rut, because you're not in a rut, but you are focused, at least emotionally, on the idea of the day-to-day, on the rote movement of time, maybe what's making you think about the stability of the Ten of Pentacles is the idea that emotionally you are very stable right now and you're focused on all of this. But the truth is that whether you feel stable or not, you're trying to feel that way. The truth is that there is that stability, that the thoughts of stability are blocking you from some deeper intuitive messaging about transformation. Because in doing, you got the Death card. Transformation will happen this week regardless of whether or not you choose to focus on emotional stability in your thoughts and in your emotions, in your mind and in your heart. Whether or not you choose to focus on that, whether or not you think about taking a risk and do take a risk or don't, whether or not you miss that intuitive message that you desperately need to receive, potentially again from the full moon, potentially about risk-taking, whether or not you do any of that, transformation has happened. It's going to happen. This week, it is happening. I think, based on the spread, that the transformation that is going to occur this week is not just the transformation of seasons. We are already transitioned into Libra season. That's the balance. I think it's this full moon, and I think the full moon is going to enlighten you. I think it's going to help you find the answer to your questions about how you can achieve stability and contentment through risk-taking or through staying still. I think that transformation is going to come about because you decide. Hopefully it's an active decision that you make. Hopefully you decide on your own. Hopefully this full moon in Aries says, hey, look at me, look at my emotional intuition, look at my intuitive force, look at the direction I'm heading in. And you look at it and you say, oh, I know what direction to follow this in. I know what direction to follow in. I know which direction to head in. Because whatever decision you make, it will cause a transformation. Even making no decision is still a decision. What that transformation is going to depend on how closely you listen to that intuitive message. So I think this week, for sure, let your focus and your mind and your heart on stability, on the day-to-day, on just contentment. Let that bolster you and buoy you to be able to open up to other intuitive messages, especially on the day of the full moon. That's what I think the cards are saying. Regardless though, get ready for transformation. It's happening this week. And it's a great time for transformation, guys. The seasons are changing. The retrogrades are changing. We will start a new month next week. Good time for transformation. It's actually exciting. And I think you know that. Make decisions. I will see you next week. Okay, so moving on to Sagittarius. Hi. As I begin my shuffle, I want to talk just a little bit about how I'm seeing this week for you. I'm super, super excited. I'm super excited about this week. I can't hide it. I hope the tarot reflects that. it'll reflect whatever it reflects, but I really am excited about this moment. I think this moment for Sagittarius is exciting. I'm going to say that word again, but it's exciting. It is forward moving. It is exploratory, and I just feel like it's a really, really important moment for you to thrive in. And so I really want guidance from the tarot for you this week in particular. Really in honor of this full moon in Aries, a co-fire sign. I think that diving into this energy is kind of what I'm really like hoping, like lights you up and propels you forward. Of course, Libra season, we're going to need balance. Hopefully this helps us with that too. Either way, let's get started with thinking. In the thinking position for you, the card that I draw is the Page of Swords. Okay? Feeling. What are you feeling? Death reversed. Okay. Not quite what I expected so far, but that's okay. What are we doing? What are you doing this week? The Nine of Wands reversed. Wow. Oh boy. Well, okay, so Sagittarius, you may have known this before I even pulled the cards, but this week isn't going to be all this fire, drive, passion, like let's move forward with joy and like love and laughter. I hope it's that. It can still be this and still be that. It can still be this spread and still be all of those things. I'm seeing that it won't be super natural to come by, and that's okay. It's a full moon and maybe super emotional. I think it also maybe has to do with Mercury leaving its shadow, but let's just get started with thinking. What is on your mind? Well, a swords card in thinking is great, and we got the Page of Swords in thinking. You are, this week, going to be thinking about how you get above the fray, how you get a perspective on yourself, certainly, but also others, the world around you as well. Some kind of situation, maybe more specifically. There may be some kind of situation this week or from like holdover from last season that you're trying to overcome. You're trying to at least get perspective on. You're smart. You're thoughtful. You're going to do that this week. That perspective is going to be really, really, really valuable to you. I would find that place of perspective, at least a place where you can get that perspective before the full moon on Friday, because I really want that full moon to kind of light you up inside. And I think if you can get perspective before then, you'll know which direction to head in. Oh, in fact, maybe it's perspective on paths in front of you, which path to take. Maybe that's more what it is. However, regardless, you got death reversed in feeling. Your emotions, your mind may know that you're ready to move on. You're ready to get perspective. You're ready to move forward smartly. Your heart is like, I'm not ready to go. Your heart is saying, I'm not ready to move on. Maybe you're still struggling to transition from Virgo to Libra season. Maybe because Mercury leaves its shadow at the very end of the week, basically, that this week's going to be a lot of holdover from the Mercury retrograde lessons. You may still be feeling Mercury retrograde vibes this week. Let's go with that. If you are feeling ill-prepared for transition, get perspective, the Page of Swords perspective that you're going to get before that full moon. Get that perspective for real. Then When the full moon happens and then Mercury leaves its shadow, you can accept transition. How, though, will you do that? Or what are you going to do about that? In doing this week, you got the 9 of Wands reversed. 9 of Wands reversed is showing me that part of how you're going to do that is by letting your guard down. Part of how you're going to accept transition and get the perspective you need is by allowing this full moon to fully penetrate your emotional core. Allow this full moon in Aries to shine its giant bright spotlight onto your fire energy, your passion, your drive, everything you share with Aries. Let all of that break through any facade or boundary you're setting up. If from Virgo season you're feeling really pragmatic, if you're feeling very almost cold, if you are, well, that coldness and that pragmatism is potentially keeping you from understanding your true essence and then transforming, using all those lessons in that perspective to transform you. So let the full moon in Aries warm you from the inside out. Let it seep into you and then burst out of you as we move forward. You can still use that perspective, use all the lessons you learned, use Libra energy also to help you stay balanced so you don't just burn out really quickly. But whatever you usually do on a full moon, do it double time this week. If you don't usually do anything, embrace this moon. That's the advice of the tarot for you this week. Let it break through your boundaries so you can accept transition. Do all of that by getting the perspective that you need. Because like I said at the beginning, I'm still so excited about what comes after this full moon. I'm really excited. This week may not be as easy breezy as I thought. That's okay. By the time that full moon happens, you'll know what you need to know to move forward. I'm happy for you. I'm excited. I'll see you next week. Okay, moving on to Capricorn. Hello. I am excited about this. So as I do my shuffle, let's dive right in. Okay, Capricorn. So this week's full moon in Aries, I think is going to require, like I said earlier, at the beginning in the intro, balance. I think for you, it's going to require that times 10. I think that just based on what I'm seeing, that for Capricorn, this full moon is going to be illuminating in a lot of ways, which will be really great. You need to hear the messages of the moon this week, especially going forward. But I think that for you, really embracing Libra's balance, embracing, adding everything you are, adding the essence of Capricorn, the identity of that to this moon is going to be important. So you'll know what to do. It'll come naturally to you. Trust your instincts this week. Especially on the day of the full moon. Let intuitive messages in, but trust your instincts. That's my advice before I see the tarot. Let's let the tarot actually speak, because that's why we're here. Thinking, feeling, doing. Let's start with thinking. What are you thinking this week? Two of Cups reversed. Okay? What are you feeling this week? The Queen of Wands. All right. Happy to see her. What are you doing this week? What do you need to do this week, potentially? The Eight of Cups reversed. Okay. All right, so Capricorn. Thinking, feeling, doing. Two cups on either side of the Queen. Both of the cups are reversed. I'm seeing well, reverse cups energy. She's in the middle though, and the Queen of Wands is in the middle, and she's super, super, super important this week for you. I can just feel her energy. I see her sunflower. I am trusting in her, and I want you to. At the beginning of this reading, I want you to really remember her. Two of Cups reversed, though, is what showed up in thinking. This week, your mind is going to be on difficulty, maybe just perceived difficulty, but difficulty in partnership. Whether that's a romantic partnership, platonic, friendship partnership, both. If it's a work partnership, a business, like a client, something like that. Whatever that is for you, you're going to be thinking about difficulty in that sector. You're going to be having a tough time in your partnerships. At least one of them, you're going to be having a tough time. So, it's in thinking. So potentially it's all in your mind. Potentially the difficulty is just in your mind. It is a misperception. That's potentially. It could also be real. You're super smart. You understand your role. You understand who you are, especially after the last season, especially after Mercury retrograde. You definitely know. I would say trust yourself. At the same time, though, because the Queen of Wands is in feeling, I think you are probably misperceiving that difficulty in partnership, or you are so right about that difficulty in partnership that you need to be decisive about that self-trust, because either way, the Queen of Wands in feeling says, in your emotional core, your intuition at least, is a fiery queen in power. Your intuition is protected by what it needs to be protected by. Meaning, your intuition is exactly where you need it to be the most effective. Trust that above all else. But if you can't decide which part of your intuition to tap into, the Queen is here to tell you which side. And it's the fire side. It's the passionate side. It's the creative side. This full moon in Aries is also here to tell you that. This fiery queen showing up for you in feeling on the same week as a full moon in Aries, especially balanced between two cups reversed, she has the answer for you. And the answer is in your emotions. You just have to look to that side of you this week. Trust yourself. Use the fact that you know you'll be empowered there to trust yourself about your partnerships. Use that thinking to trust yourself. Trust that thinking in particular. And the way you can do that is represented by the Eight of Cups reversed in doing. The Eight of Cups reversed in doing is really, really showing me in this spread in particular, for you in particular, that self-trust is the only thing that's going to matter for you this week. I think all of these cards are showing me that self-trust is all that's going to matter. And the Queen of Wands showing up upright in feeling is showing me that you're going to be good to go. And the reason that I think self-trust is going to be so valuable for you and you should lean so into it, it's not just because of the Queen of Wands. It's because of this Eight of Cups reversed. The Eight of Cups reversed is showing me that you know whether or not you have to stay in a situation or leave a situation. And it's that partnership. Do you need to stay in this partnership or do you need to leave it? If you can find self-trust, you'll know which decision to make. But only if you find self-trust. Making the right choice isn't guaranteed unless you embrace the Queen's fire energy. Unless you let this full moon in Aries lead you towards a decision. And according to the spread, it's a decision about partnership. Probably just one, but it's definitely a one-on-one relationship and you are empowered. Trust yourself. And then make a choice to leave or stay. Make a choice to keep engaging in this partnership or to stop engaging in this partnership. Maybe you just stop for now until things change, but you know what you need. You feel it. Let feeling this week, maybe not next week, but definitely on the day of that full moon, let feeling guide you and trust yourself. That's what you need. If you start having doubts, if you start having self-trust issues this week, if you're not sure what to do, which way to go, look at the Queen of Wands. Find her image somewhere. Use her as a visual mantra to remind you to embrace this full moon. And you'll figure out what to do. I'm excited for you. I'll see you next week. Okay, now we are moving on to Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, let me first hello. I am really excited to this reading. I am really excited about this full moon in Aries. Like I said earlier, I think it's going to require balance, big time. It's going to require Libra energy, but it's also going to require Aquarius energy. It's going to require a true sense of self, and I think that you bring that excellently. So let's just get started right away, though, with the reading so that the tarot can guide us. Thinking, feeling, doing. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And what are you doing? Let's see. This week in thinking, the 5 of Cups. Okay. Feeling, even though that's a card with a lot of feeling, that is thinking. What are you feeling this week? Judgment reversed. Doing. What are you doing? What are you doing this week? The 3 of Cups reversed. Okay. So, Judgment reversed, surrounded by cups. Interesting. I see a lot about acceptance, clearly. And I see the need to focus in a specific direction. But, don't want to get ahead of myself. The 5 of Cups shows up in thinking for you. This shows me that your mind, and I'm thinking this is going to be before the full moon, but your mind up until this full moon is you're preoccupied with something you think you lost. You're preoccupied with loss. You just are. You may be preoccupied with what could potentially be lost, but based on this card, I'm thinking you're preoccupied with something that has been lost. I'm going to need you to turn around and look at the 2 cups standing, because what this card does show me is that even if you're thinking about some kind of mistake, regret, whatever, or just about some difficult situation in your life right now, somewhere in your world, there are fully functional, usable vibes. there's an energy and probably like a literal situation that is attainable and usable. So there's nothing wrong with contemplating loss, but this card I'm thinking is saying, let's try, maybe use this full moon to shift the direction of your focus onto the 2 cups that are still standing. But Judgment reverses in feeling. So you're going to be feeling like that's way too hard. You're going to be feeling like it's too much, that you cannot accept that whatever's been lost has been lost, that you have to move on. You're going to have a really hard time accepting it. But Judgment reversed also says you don't have a choice, or you have a choice to accept it or not, but it has already happened. So what do you do about that? Well, what you might do this week is turn against yourself and turn against people who you otherwise would need or have to celebrate with. If you do not turn from the loss, if you do not turn away from that mentally, if you do not start accepting your emotions, accepting what you learned from Virgo season, what you learned from Mercury retrograde, if you don't start feeling acceptance for the future, then what you'll be doing this week is missing out on one of the most gorgeous opportunities for celebration. I think you may miss the messages of the full moon as well. Messages you really need to hear. Messages that you need to use as guides, because you are so special. You are so unique. You are so necessary for the people around you. Your acceptance of reality and your focus on using that acceptance for good, your ability to learn from situations, to use them to help the most people, or to even just to help yourself to the point where you can be reformative and able to cope with transition, especially. The people that may be missing you or that part of you this week really need you to use this full moon to find acceptance and focus on positivity. Do that. Because if you do that, the harvest celebration, the reaping of the rewards that this full moon promises will be yours and your people's to share and thrive in. So do that. Accept it. Move on from it. Turn towards what is definitely there for you. And grab onto it and use it to celebrate and move forward with. I know you will. Let this full moon guide you. Let this full moon guide you. It's on Friday. Dive into it. Let it light you up. I know you will. I'll see you next week. Hang in there. Okay, so now we are moving on to Pisces. All right, Pisces. So as I start the shuffle, let's just quickly talk about this week for you. The way I'm seeing it is that this full moon in Aries is going to be a different kind of emotional deep dive than the full moon in your sign was, but it's going to be no less intense. It's just that this one is going to be about balancing fire and water. It's going to be about this energy of this or that, yin and yang, all of that stuff. This not kind of a balance of opposites to a degree, but not so much that it's going to be too hard to keep. In fact, I think you will be able to, better than any other sign, keep that balance. And balance, as I said in the intro, is super, super essential to this full moon, which makes it super essential to this week. So the full moon's not till the end of the week, though. So let's let the tarot guide us to see what we're going to be thinking, feeling, and doing as we head towards this moment. Thinking for you. What are you thinking, Pisces? The 8 of Cups. Okay. If that's what you're thinking, what are you feeling? In feeling, you get the Chariot. Okay, that makes sense as well. Super directionally focused cards from the start. Doing, what are you doing? The Knight of Pentacles. Okay. I said super directional cards, and then we get the Knight of Pentacles. Needs directionality. So that's but we'll get to you, sir. Now, starting with thinking. 8 of Cups. Oh, man. The 8 of Cups and thinking is definitely showing me that first of all, like I thought, your water energy is going to be super crucial. But what it's going to be crucial for, based on this card, for you is you need to use the intuitive messages you receive from this Aries full moon to help you decide when to start moving forward and where to head. The Eight of Cups shows me that your thoughts are in the right direction on that. Again, you will tap in to intuitive messages. You will receive them this week, definitely on the day of that full moon. So, dive into your rituals this week if you have them. You need to let those messages, the messages of the Aries full moon, let those messages guide you in a direction and give you a timetable for that. It's super important that, especially if you're feeling kind of stagnated right now, if you're feeling really like you're being called to move out into the world, or to move, or to make a decision that's maybe difficult, that involves some kind of shift in your status quo, you especially need to use that this week. Use this full moon. If things are just kind of whatever and normal for you, you still are gonna need it. And maybe it's for the future. You're gonna need to find out that directionality, because in feeling, it's the Chariot, which shows me that regardless of if you're like ready for some big change or not, you definitely need directionality. Your guts, your intuition, your core, your heart knows that forward directionality is the only possibility. You also know the importance of deciding what direction to take before you move forward. So that's where the Chariot comes in. In doing, though, we got the Knight of Pentacles. And I think that's the reflection. I think the Knight of Pentacles is you before you make the decisions of the thinking and the feeling. It's you before you let your mind and your heart guide you towards a choice that this full moon will illuminate for you. The Knight of Pentacles is rooted, he is grounded, and he is focused. Almost so focused that he isn't moving at all. But that's okay this week, because like I said, the full moon happens at the end of the week, and that's where the messages are going to come to you. The full moon is going to give you the messages. The full moon is going to tell you where to go and when to go. The full moon is going to tell you to go right or left. You'll know what choice to make because you're Pisces. And because what you're going to do for the first part of the week, for most of the week, is listen, contemplate, and trust that the rooted place you're in right now is temporary, but that once you use the messaging that you receive, and once you latch on to a specific message, you'll be able to gallop forward in the direction you choose when you're ready to do it. So that full moon this week is going to be super important for you, Pisces. Really trust what you hear. It's what you're best at. I'll see you next week. All right, guys. That was all of our weekly readings this week. I hope they were really insightful. I hope that the tarot guides you to letting this full moon in. I hope that you heard whatever it is you needed to hear this week to have a beautiful, wonderful, forwardly mobile, forwardly directional week. I think that after this full moon, like I said at the beginning, we are headed forward. After Mercury leaves its shadow, we are headed forward whether we are ready or not. So hopefully these readings helped you get ready. They definitely helped me. I am really excited about this week now. I am super excited about this full moon. A lot of us are going to need to dive really deeply into it, let it really penetrate into our hearts and our minds. And so I hope that we all do that together. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you guys so much for everything you do and for engaging with us, with me during this. I really, really appreciate it. I can't tell you how grateful I am. And I'm so excited to be with you on whatever journey it is you're on. Let's stick together, and I will see you next week. Thanks, guys.